It took me almost 8 years to stop binge eating at night. And so I'm going to teach you exactly how you can do that in this video so that it doesn't take you 8 years as well. And so when I was younger, I've always dealt with body image issues. I've always wanted to be lean, and I was a bit of a chubbier kid. I wasn't per se obese or like crazy fat, but I just was never lean. And so just seeing other kids and friends my age that were lean made me want to get lean, maybe want to get shredded, see my six pack, see some type of abs. And so I've always struggled with getting lean and getting those abs, right? And so on anything like under 15% body fat, right? And so honestly, from the age of like 12 and beyond, right, even until now, I've just always like desired that lean look, right? And so I've tried a lot of diets, a lot of methods, a lot of tactics, right? And it would just lead me back to binge eating all the time, because I'd make progress for 3, 4, 5 days, and then on the weekend, which is what usually the case was, is I would just binge eat, ruin my progress for the whole week, and then be even on a slight calorie surplus for the week. So imagine going through a struggle for 5 to 6 days, basically the whole week, just to ruin it in a span of 2 hours, right? So that would demotivate me so much that I would give up for another 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and then I would go back at it again with another cycle, right? It was just this endless cycle of basically staying at the same body fat percentage every single year, right? And I would get a bit leaner when I was trying to lose weight, and then I would go back to the normal. And I thought that was just my set normal. That was what my body wanted to be at. But it was just that I was approaching it wrong. And so the first thing that I did, or the first thing that I stopped doing in order to reduce my binge eating and eventually eliminate it, is stop trying stupid crash diets, right? You've seen those diets where they're just eating just chicken breast and broccoli every single day, 6 times a day. And sure, that's a lot of volume, but it's not enough calories. It's way too little calories that your body is gonna notice the calorie deficit. Your body wants to survive, and it needs at least a certain amount to live, right? Even you can still be in a calorie deficit and give your body enough nutrients, enough macronutrients. With just chicken breast and broccoli, you're not giving your body any type of fats to live on. You need fats to live for your hormone regulation, all your steroid hormones, your testosterone, and other hormones are based off of cortisol, which is a fat. And also, fats are satiating, right? And so you need them to just feel all right enough to continue on with your day. And just other crash diets were just, you're just eating like, just, I don't know, just too little calories. You're just eating 1,000 calories a day, or you're just fasting for 3, 4, 5 days, or literally doing a water fast. I've literally done a 4-day water fast. That's how desperate I was to get lean. Just to see some like ab muscles, right? And so that was the first thing that I stopped or had to stop doing. And I didn't want to stop doing it because I just assumed that I just need to get there as fast as possible. And so if that's something that you keep struggling with, you can't get there fast enough. Like you can't get there like right away, right? And so it's really tempting to just do crazy fast or just like crazy calorie deficit, right? But even though, sure, it's faster progress, you're not keeping in mind what the consequences are. The consequences are you're going to feel more hungry, you're going to feel more upset and tired and fatigued. And so what does that increase the risk of? Binge eating, right? And what does binge eating do? It just ruins all your progress. What's the point of going on a 2,000 calorie deficit every single day just to eat 7,000 calories on the Sunday or on the Saturday, right? What's the point? Wouldn't you rather then just go on like a 500 calorie deficit and then actually still feel all right? You still feel a bit tired. You're still going to feel a bit fatigued, right? And you might need to implement a refeed day maybe every 2 weeks, maybe every 1 week if the calorie deficit is a bit too high. But then at least it's more sustainable. The thing about fat loss diets is it's not supposed to be sustainable, because that doesn't make sense. You're going to keep losing weight. So you're going to keep losing weight until what? You've lost every single thing in your body. You're going to lose the fat and then the muscle and the skin and the bones. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's not sustainable. That's why when we do a calorie deficit, it's only for like the fat, right? Why would you want to lose anything else? And so it shouldn't be sustainable. That's one thing to get out of the way. But that doesn't mean that it needs to be crazy difficult, because then it'd be too unsustainable. Still need it to be sustainable for a little period, for like 1 month, up to like 3, 4, 5, 6 months, depending on how much fat you need to lose. Right? If you're 20% body fat, you might need to give yourself 3 months, maybe 4 months if you're taking it a bit slower. So you need a diet that's sustainable for 3, 4 months. If you're eating 1,000 calories a day, that's not sustainable for 3, 4 months. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're David Goggins. I don't know if even he can do 1,000 calorie a day diet. I mean, I know I can't, right? I've tried it before, too many times. And I'll just quit like 2 weeks in max. And so there's no point of trying to brute force the diet. How about you instead go on a 500 calorie deficit, right? Maximum 1,000 calorie deficit daily, because that would mean you're losing 7,000 calories as a deficit throughout the week, which is 2 pounds of fat. So you should not, honestly, like, unless you're doing a 2-week fat loss diet, but even then that might increase the risk of you losing muscle. And so yeah, honestly, I wouldn't recommend anything more than 2 pounds of fat a week, which is what, 1,000 calories? Yeah, 1,000 calorie deficit a day. But honestly, if you just stick to 500 a day, eat a substantial amount of every single macronutrient, your proteins, your fats, and your carbohydrates. Mainly focus on the protein. It's satiating, and you need it to sustain your muscle. Get at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. If you're 200 pounds, just get 200 grams of protein. That's the main goal, right? And then go, honestly, at least moderate fats. I wouldn't go low fat diet at all. It's not satiating. It's gonna disrupt your hormones. You're gonna feel fatigued. Your testosterone is probably gonna go down because you're not getting enough cholesterol to convert to testosterone. And then the remaining calories can go to carbohydrates, right? And then even then, it depends. If you're not exercising at all, you don't need that many carbohydrates, like, respectfully, right? Because carbohydrates are mainly an energy source, and it's the most easily or readily convertible macronutrient to become an energy source. So if you're not training, you're not moving, you're getting like a few thousand steps a day, you're on the desk all day, you don't need that. You don't need above 150 grams of carbs a day, with all due respect, right? But sure, if you train hard, if you walk a lot, you're gonna need at least, like, if you're going less than 50 grams and you're working hard, unless you're some supernatural human, like, you're gonna feel fatigued, especially on a fat loss diet. You're already gonna be fatigued just from being in a deficit. And so that was just the point about not trying any crash diets. Just follow a normal diet, dog. Like, just stop the crash diets. The second point is focusing on the type of food that you're gonna eat. Because when I look online, and I hate to see this, but I look online uh, for content about, nutrition, weight loss, fitness, just in general, right? And then I'll see people being like talking about their fat loss diet and how they got to 10% body fat, and they'll throw in like a donut or a tub of ice cream at the end of the day. And even though, sure, it probably did work. I'm not doubting that the diet worked. I'm not doubting that calories in versus calories out. You can still eat ice cream, and as long as you're in a deficit, you're gonna lose weight. But the reason why I don't like it is, even though it's true, it's just the fact that those type of videos get the most views, right? Because it's more appealing. Some guy or some girl is gonna see the video, and then they're gonna be like, huh, so I can eat ice cream and donuts and still lose weight. I'm gonna try that. And you know what? At first, it might work. I don't doubt that it can work. You're gonna lose weight. But then what's the consequence? The consequence is that those foods are more addicting. So what does that mean? You're gonna eat more of them. First, it might start as like one scoop of ice cream a day, and then it might be a whole tub, right? Then you might add this and this. And then slowly you're gonna eventually increase the percentage of processed food that's in your diet. And especially on a fat loss diet, when your food is gonna be less anyways, you need to focus on making as much of that food whole, nutritious food. Because if you're going to eat processed food which lacks nutrients and also arguably has compounds that affect your health negatively, then the consequence is you're not optimizing for health. You're optimizing for fat loss only, or weight loss. And so when you don't optimize for health, your health gets affected. Short-term and long-term. We all know the long-term effects, right? Diabetes, this and that, right? But short-term, your mood's going to be affected. First of all, you're going to be more addicted to the foods, so you're going to get more cravings. That's not good on a weight loss diet. Your mood is not going to be regulated because your hormones are not regulated, because you're not getting enough nutrients and you're not getting the nutrients that you need in order to get your body to function the way it needs to, so you can feel your best at the conditions we're given. And so your mood's going to be affected, which can but affect your training, your sleep. And again, when your sleep is affected, it's going to increase your cravings. It's going to increase your hunger hormones because your body's trying to survive. And so what does that increase? The chances of you binge eating. That's the whole point of this video, to stop binge eating so you stop ruining your progress when you're trying to lose weight. And so literally the biggest reason why I stopped binge eating is stop crash dieting, like eating a normal diet, and also eating 100% a whole food diet. 100% whole food diet, right? It might sound extreme. I don't think it's extreme at all. I think it's the most normal diet ever. I don't understand really why eating a whole food diet has become extreme. I don't know why it's even considered a diet. It's the foods that we've been eating as humans for God knows how many years. Over 50, 100,000 years. Right? Red meat, chicken, fish, vegetables, plants, dairy, right? So why is it considered a diet? It should just, it shouldn't even be called a diet, because I know technically it is a diet because that's like what you're eating. But in social media and just like society in general society, a diet is considered for something that's like, it's just when you hear a diet, you think restrictive. you think extreme, right? And so people think it's extreme and that it's restrictive in a sense to eat a whole foods diet. And honestly, that's one of the biggest problems about society, and that's the biggest reason why we're chronically ill. But when you eat whole foods, your mood is, you just feel so much better. Sure, I understand the first week, maybe the first 2 weeks, your cravings are gonna be insane for the chocolate, this and that. By the way, chocolate is like technically a whole foods diet. It comes from cacao beans, but that's only if you're like taking straight cacao, so like the 100% dark chocolate. Because if it's anything less than 100%, then they're adding sugar to decrease that percentage to make it sweeter, less dark, right? And so you want 100% cacao, either powder or like you can get the chocolate bars, and I eat that as well, right? You just put it in the middle of a date, or I put the powder in like my yogurt bowl. It tastes amazing, but you just have to get used to it. You have to get your taste buds to get used to what real food actually tastes like. Because right now, you might not find it as appealing because your brain and your taste buds have been used to the processed foods, and it thinks that that's what normal food should taste like. I hope you trust me when I say this. When I do like try a processed foods, right? Like I think 2 weeks ago, I tried a Malteser or something, right? And I'm not even kidding to you. And maybe I'm biased, right? Maybe there's placebo or something. But when I tried it, I felt like the chocolate was like waxy. It did not feel like real chocolate. It didn't feel like real food. And I promised you, like, I just felt weird after. Right? Like, I'm not saying I felt sick or anything, but I just felt something's not right. It just didn't taste right. It didn't register right. But that's just because I've been eating whole foods for I don't know how many months now. For like 6 months or even longer. I've been sticking to this diet. But the way it's been making me feel is just so much better. It's a much more sustainable diet. Even when it's a fat loss diet. Even though I'm in a calorie deficit, I just feel like it's more sustainable. I feel more full, right? Even though it's arguably I can get a processed food diet that might have more volume, but just the fact that this is nutritious food, it signals to my body that I'm satiated and that it's satisfied with the amount of nutrients that it has. And you can supplement on top as well so that you make sure you get even more. But supplementing, it's in the name. It should be a supplement. It shouldn't be the primary source. The primary source should be from the actual foods that you ingest. And so yeah, once I started regulating my hormones more so that I feel more energized, less fatigued, not completely like unfatigued. Again, just disclaimer, you're not going to feel like super energized, but you're going to feel energized enough to continue with the diet without feeling the insane need to binge eat. Sure, I get hungry sometimes, but not like, there's a difference between feeling hungry for like a snack or a small meal versus your mind is basically controlling you to ingest 6,000 calories, right? And that's something that I feel like everyone watching this video, including me before, would experience pretty often, where it's like you just get this insane urge to eat the whole fridge. I don't feel that anymore. I don't feel like I need to eat the whole fridge. Sure, I get hungry so that I want to eat a meal, maybe even an extra 1,000 calories, but not even close to the same level that I used to do before. And sure, that's also in combination with not trying a crash diet, like we talked about before. And so if you try all of that, you will stop binge eating, or at least reduce it by at least half. At least half. And I don't know about you guys, but when I stopped binge eating, and just the idea of me not having to binge eat sounded like the biggest fix in the world, right? Like if there was a drug that would eliminate, that's what people always like are on GLP-1s and Ozempic and Manjaro and all those like GLP-1 agonists that reduce hunger, because they want to stop binge eating. They don't like binge eating. They don't like doing it, but they feel under no control at that moment when they do it. But it's like right after they do it, they just feel really bad. They feel really guilty. Some of them will force themselves to puke, and that's called just what bulimia nervosa, especially an eating disorder, where you eat a lot, then you feel guilty, then you force yourself to like throw up that food or like get rid of the calorie surplus. It's literally an eating disorder. It's a disorder. It's not normal. But the fact is, way too many people like show the same pattern of behavior. And I believe it's a problem with the food that we're eating, the type of food we're eating, and the messages we've been shown on social media, just because it's appealing. If you just take the leap, face the hard 1-2 weeks of cravings, your life will change. And you can come back on this video and comment below exactly how beneficial this information was. And if you really want to learn more on how you can lose weight, lose fat, while still being healthy and eating healthy food, then just check out my community. It's the first link in the description, and I'll see you there.